Okay, so behavioral therapy is a form of therapy that looks at all the different behaviors individuals show. So it could be language skills, it could be challenging behaviors, it could be their lack of ability to respond to their name. These are all behaviors. So behavioral therapy ultimately looks at the behavior that's the problem, and then they find ways of working on it. Why behavioral therapy has its unique name is because for children who find it difficult to communicate, we understand them through their behavior and accordingly teach them the appropriate form of communication. Sure, good question actually. So actually, ABA, applied behavior analysis, and behavioral therapy are the same. They come under the same bracket. So applied behavior analysis ultimately looks at behavior and analyzing behavior, and behavioral therapy looks at the same thing. So they're essentially the same, and they use the same principles of human behavior, reinforcement, punishment, etc. Okay, so children with Down syndrome display a variety of symptoms. Some can be language delay, some can be behavioral problems, challenging behaviors such as tantrums or not wanting to do something, or even lack of speech or communication is also a form of a behavioral problem. So ABA helps with that because we use the principles of human behavior to reinforce. So let's, for example, look at a child with Down syndrome. Let's say they lack language skills. So what we do is we teach them how to communicate, whether it's sign language or vocally, and then we reinforce that, ultimately reward that appropriate behavior. So they learn that when they communicate and they speak, they get rewarded, and that's how they learn to communicate. And the same applies for children with Down syndrome, also have challenging behaviors, where they have tantrums, they don't know how to express themselves. So in behavioral therapy, we teach them the appropriate way of communication so that they learn how to communicate. So I'll tell you something interesting. ABA and behavioral therapy, you could say, has generally been tested predominantly and researched on for children with autism. So the study with children with Down syndrome is a bit more new, and there is limited research to prove it. However, if a parent finds that the child is displaying behavioral issues, or they have a speech delay for that matter, then what happens is that a behavior analyst or a behavior therapist, as myself perhaps, we would run an assessment to see what are the milestones that they're missing, what are the gaps in their development, and then accordingly we would then decide how to go about it. But ultimately it's want us to look at what the challenges are and accordingly intervene with behavioral therapy. So one of the biggest things I'm going to say, it's absolutely phenomenal, and I think there's so much scope for it and it's needed. There isn't enough of work being done here, and I think KDSP is doing a great job with initiating, tapping into different families of all the different backgrounds, some who can afford more, some who can afford less, which is amazing because often what happens is that many centers or therapy places tap into a particular market, but KDSP covers the whole the society, you could say, in Karachi or even Pakistan. So they're doing a great job, and they've got an occupational therapist, speech therapist, great facility, and well done to all the people in the KDSP team. Great.